Barney has an adventure with Daniel and saves some new friends along the way. Barney the Bee was buzzing around the meadow, enjoying the warm sun on his back and the sweet smell of flowers. As he flew, he saw his friend Daniel the duck paddling in the nearby pond. "Hello, Daniel," Barney called out as he flew over to the pond. Daniel looked up and smiled. "Hello, Barney. What brings you over here?" Barney explained that he was just enjoying the day and thought he would come say hello. Daniel was happy to see Barney and invited him to go for a swim in the pond. As they swam, Daniel told Barney about his latest adventures, and Barney shared his stories as well. They laughed and joked, enjoying each other's company. Suddenly, they heard a loud thump coming from the nearby bushes. They swam over to investigate and saw a small rabbit trapped under a fallen branch. Barney and Daniel knew that they had to help the rabbit, but the branch was too heavy for them to move. They tried pushing it with their beaks and wings, but it wouldn't budge. Barney remembered the magical flower that he carried with him and told Daniel about it. They both knew that the flower had incredible powers, and they wondered if it could help them free the rabbit. Barney flew to the meadow and returned with a small bottle filled with nectar from the magical flower. He sprinkled the nectar on the branch, and they watched in amazement as the branch began to rise slowly. With a bit of effort, Barney and Daniel were able to lift the branch, and the rabbit scurried to safety. "Thank you, Barney and Daniel," the rabbit exclaimed. "You saved my life." Barney and Daniel smiled, feeling happy and proud of themselves for helping the rabbit. They knew that they had made a difference in someone's life, and that felt good. As they continued to swim, Barney told Daniel more about the magical flower. He explained that it had been given to him by a wise old bee who lived in a distant meadow. The wise old bee had told Barney that the flower had the power to bring good luck and happiness to whoever carried it. Barney had been amazed by the flower's abilities and had carried it with him ever since. Daniel was intrigued by the story and asked Barney if he could see the flower. Barney happily showed him the flower, and Daniel couldn't believe his eyes. The flower was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, with bright colors and a sweet fragrance that filled the air. Daniel was amazed by its magical powers and felt lucky just being near it. From that day on, Barney and Daniel made a plan to go on an adventure together to find the wise old bee who had given Barney the flower. They knew that they had to learn more about the flower's powers and how to use them for good. Excited by their plan, they swam around the pond, making a list of all the things they would need for their journey. They knew that it would be a long and challenging adventure, but they were ready for it. With the magical flower by their side, Barney and Daniel felt that anything was possible. They were determined to find the wise old bee and unlock the secrets of the magical flower. The next morning, Barney and Daniel set off on their adventure. They flew over hills, through valleys, and across rivers, always keeping their eyes open for any sign of the wise old bee. As they traveled, they encountered many obstacles and challenges, but they never gave up. They persevered through thick forests, over rocky mountains, and even through storms. Along the way, they met many creatures who needed their help, just like the rabbit they had saved in the pond. Barney and Daniel were always ready to lend a hand, and they found that the more they helped others, the more the flower's magical powers grew. As they journeyed on, Barney and Daniel grew stronger and wiser. They learned how to work together, how to overcome obstacles, and how to appreciate the beauty and wonder of the world around them. One day, they came across a vast meadow, filled with the sweetest flowers they had ever seen. They flew over the meadow, drinking in the fragrant air, and they saw a small hive nestled at the edge of the field. Barney and Daniel knew that this must be the home of the wise old bee. They flew down to the hive and knocked on the door. A small bee answered, and Barney and Daniel asked to speak with the wise old bee. The bee nodded and led them through a maze of tunnels until they reached a small chamber deep in the hive. There, they saw the wise old bee, sitting on a throne made of honeycomb. He looked at Barney and Daniel with a wise and knowing gaze. "What brings you here, young ones?" he asked. Barney explained about the magical flower and how they had come to learn more about its powers. The wise old bee nodded. "Ah, yes, the flower of good luck and happiness. It is a powerful thing, indeed. But its powers are not meant for those who seek to use them selfishly." Barney and Daniel assured the wise old bee that they only wanted to use the flower's powers for good, to help others and make the world a better place. The wise old bee smiled. "Very well. I will teach you what you need to know, but be warned, the journey ahead is not an easy one. You will face many challenges and dangers, and you must be brave and strong to overcome them." Barney and Daniel nodded, determined to learn all they could from the wise old bee. They knew that their adventure was just beginning, and they were ready for whatever lay ahead. For many days, Barney and Daniel stayed with the wise old bee in his hive, learning all that he had to teach them about the magical flower. They learned about the importance of kindness, compassion, and generosity in using the flower's powers. The wise old bee also taught them about the dangers of greed and selfishness, and how such negative traits could corrupt the flower's magic and turn it against those who sought to use it for their own gain. Barney and Daniel were grateful for the wise old bee's guidance, and they knew that they would always cherish the lessons he had taught them. Finally, it was time for Barney and Daniel to leave the hive and continue on their journey. The wise old bee wished them well and reminded them to always use the flower's powers for good. As they flew away from the hive, Barney and Daniel felt a sense of purpose and determination. They knew that they had a great responsibility to use the flower's magic wisely and make a positive difference in the world. They flew over mountains and valleys, through fields and forests, always on the lookout for those who needed their help. Along the way, they used the flower's powers to heal sick animals, to help lost travelers find their way, and to bring joy and happiness to those who were feeling down. Their adventures took them to many far-off lands, where they encountered new friends and faced many challenges. But through it all, they never forgot the lessons they had learned from the wise old bee. As time went on, Barney and Daniel became known far and wide as heroes, revered for their bravery and kindness. They continued to use the flower's powers to make the world a better place, always remembering the wise old bee's words and the importance of using the magic for good. And so, their adventure continued, filled with wonder and magic, as Barney and Daniel flew into the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Years went by, and Barney and Daniel remained close friends, continuing their adventures together and using the magic of the lucky flower to help those in need. One day, as they were flying over a field of flowers, Barney noticed something strange. One of the flowers was wilting and looked like it was about to die. Barney and Daniel flew down to investigate, and they saw that the flower was being attacked by a swarm of angry wasps. The wasps were trying to steal the flower's nectar and were causing it great harm. Without hesitation, Barney and Daniel flew into action, using the flower's magic to create a protective shield around it. The shield kept the wasps at bay and allowed the flower to recover and thrive once again. As they flew away from the field, Barney noticed something new about his magical lucky flower. It was glowing brighter than ever before, and he knew that this was a sign of the great power that it held. Barney and Daniel realized that they had a duty to share the magic of the lucky flower with the world, to help others discover its amazing properties and use it to make the world a better place. And so, they traveled far and wide, sharing the flower's magic with all who would listen. They taught others about the importance of kindness, compassion, and generosity, and how these traits were essential to using the flower's magic for good. Thanks to their efforts, the lucky flower became known as a symbol of hope and positivity, a source of magic that could bring joy and healing to all who encountered it. And so, Barney and Daniel's adventure continued, as they flew into the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and to spread the magic of the lucky flower far and wide, making the world a brighter and better place for all. Sleep well, little ones. Remember to sleep well tonight, tomorrow is soon.